But you will notice that our container div now has collapsed. And the reason why is because if we select our header div, we will see that it collapsed as well. And that's because all the elements inside the header now, they are floating elements. Okay, so an HTML element that consists of floating elements only is going to behave as if it doesn't have any elements inside it. And that's what's happening here. So to avoid this, we're going to go to our header and give it a height of 100 pixels. Okay, so I'm going to select the header using its ID. We're going to place it just before the brand. And let's give it a height of 100 pixels. And now we can see our header with the dimensions, with the right dimensions. Okay. Now let's continue styling our search box and let's give it a background color. Okay, so we can see here that we've got some gradient there. So we're going to use the property background, not background color. Okay. So we're going to use a couple of colors here. So we're going to start with the top color. So let's use our ColorZilla to select that. So let's go for this one. So the syntax is linear gradient. And then inside we're going to place our colors. So the first one is this one. And then the second one is going to be the top one, the bottom one. And let's go for this one. Okay. Okay, let's paste it there. Okay, and now we can see that our search box has got some background color there, but we can't see it very well because the text input and the submit button, they are taking most of the space inside the search box. So let's change the dimensions of our search box. Let's give it a width of 300 pixels, for example, and a height of 40. Okay, let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's go for a width of 400. Okay, and a height of 50. All right. Now we can see that our submit button is floating to the right. So what we're going to do, we're going to make the submit button float to the right and the text inputs float to the left. Okay. So if you have a look at our index.html file, we can see that we've got a text class for the text input. So we're going to use that class to style it. And let's add a class for our submit button. Let's call it submit, that we're going to use to style the submit button. Okay. So we're going to select our text input first using its class text. And we're going to make it float to the left. Okay. And then for the submit button, we're going to use the class submit. And we'll make it float to the right. Okay. That looks better. Alright, now we're going to need to add some padding to our search box to allow some gap between the inputs inside the box and the borders of the box. But before doing that, let's just get the dimensions of the inputs right first, okay, and then move to the padding. So let's start with the text input. So we're going to need to change the width of the inputs, okay. So let's go for a width of 150 pixels. Okay, still too small. Let's go for 200. That looks fine. Okay, so let's have a look at the text inside the inputs. So you can see that we are going to need some padding in there. Okay, which is going to change the height of our input as well. So Let's add some padding. Let's go for 5 pixels, for example. That looks okay. And also the height looks fine now. Okay. And let's set the font size to 10 pixels. Too small. 15 pixels. That looks fine. Okay. All right. And then we're going to need to change the color of the text. And to do that, we're going to do color, and we're going to use this orange color there. So let's select this using our color zilla. And here we go. And now it looks fine. All right. Okay, now let's move to the submit button. And first we can see that we've got some padding, okay, between the text and the border. So let's add some padding there. So I'm going to go for 5 pixels. All right. And also you can see that text is bold, so we're going to change the font weight, and we're going to set that to bold. All right. Also, the text color is white. And the background color as well, we need to change it. So for the submit button, we can't use background color. Okay, so the property background color cannot be used for buttons, so we're going to use background. Okay, and we're going to set that to this purple color. Okay, here we go. So text there is actually a little bit bigger than this one. So we're going to change the font size to 15 pixels. And that looks fine. Okay. Okay, so now it looks like we've got the right dimensions for our inputs. Okay. So now we are ready to add some padding to our search box. Okay, so let's go to the search box and add some padding there. So you're going to need some padding top, some padding right, and some padding left. So you're going to use 4 values. First one is for the top, and then right, and then bottom, and then left. Okay, so I'm going to go for 10 pixels, then 10 pixels, then 0, then 10 pixels. Okay, you need a little bit more, so let's go for 20 rather than 10, and see. Okay, that looks better. Okay, also you're going to need to add some space between the search box and the border of our header. Okay, so you're going to use the margin top property. And let's set that to 10. Let's go for 20. Okay, we need a bigger gap. Okay, let's go for 40. Okay, so the problem now is if we add more margin, the title and the search box are not going to be aligned anymore. So I'm going to leave it at 20 for now. All right. And to add more space, we're going to use the padding property of our header. Okay, so let's go to our header and change the padding. So we only need the top and bottom padding. Okay, so you're going to use two values. First one is going to be for the top and bottom padding, and then the second value is going to be 0. We're going to use it for the left and right padding. So let's go for 10 pixels and 0. Now you can see some padding at the top and bottom, and no padding on the left and right. Okay, so that looks fine. Okay. Alright, now let's add this search icon to our text input. So we're going to go to logomaker.com, where we're going to look for a similar icon, and then we're going to customize it. So let's look for search, and let's go for this one, for example, and let's change the color. And I'm going to use the same purple color that's already copied to our clipboard. Okay, so if I click on enter, now the color has changed. Okay, so let's save this to our desktop. And very important, you would need to give the credit to the original authors. Okay, so I suggest that you copy the credits by clicking on the button here. Okay, and then you can place all the credits in a separate page, and you give a link to that page. So it's really important to give the credit to the author of this icon. Okay, so now I've got the picture on my desktop. All right, here it is. So I'm going to change the name of the file to search, and I'm going to create a new folder in my project folder, and I'm going to call it images. Okay, and then I'm going to open this folder using the Explorer, and then inside the Explorer we're going to place this search image. Okay, so we're going to need to resize this image to fit the dimensions of our input or our text input. If we go back to our text input, we can see that the text size is 15 pixels, and then we've got a top padding and a bottom padding of 5 pixels, and that's 10 pixels in total, plus 15, that's 25 pixels. So you're going to need to resize our icon to something under 25 pixels so that we can use it. Okay, so to resize it, I'm going to open it using Paint. Okay, and then I'm going to go to resize. Okay, and then I'm going to go for pixels. I'm going to set this to 22. Here we go. And save. Okay. Alright, so now to style our text input using the picture, we're going to use the background property. Okay, and first of all we're going to set the background color to white, and then we are going to place the URL of our image, okay, which is images/search.png. Okay, so at the moment we see many pictures there. Okay, we're going to fix this in a bit. So we want our picture to be placed horizontally on the right, okay, and vertically we want it to be centered. And then to avoid seeing many pictures there, we're going to use the property no repeat. And now we can see our search icon in there. It's not as bold as this one, but if you want, you can choose another logo from the Logo Maker website. All right, for now, we're not going to have any other elements inside our header, but it's good practice to clear the floating elements. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are just going to add another div, an empty div, following the search box, and we're going to give it a class clear. Okay, and we're going to style this class using the clear property that we're going to set to both. Okay.